Welcome to the World of Warships with Captain Yamo. I am your host, Captain Yamo, and this is the Tier 8 Japanese destroyer, the Fubuki. The Kabuki artist with his white mask paint and his very strange hairstyles. No, hey, here we are in 5.5. There's no weather effects to show off here, but there are some there are some differences in weather. You do have some rain, and then you have cyclone conditions, which cut down visibility to 8 kilometers, which is pretty cool. On ships like the Fubuki, there's actually a new torpedo. It's got shorter range, but it is a lot faster. It actually runs at 72 kilometers, which is pretty incredible. And by far my favorite feature, although I may not be able to show it off in a Japanese destroyer, is the new dynamic zooms. See the number 5 there? If I put it on the edge of that island and zoom back or zoom in, it stays right there. The numbers scale as you zoom in and out. So if you're using lazy-eyed gunnery, this is going to be tremendous for you. You'll be able to zoom in and out organically and still be able to hit your targets because you're going to know your range. I'm going to have to be careful because I'm woefully under powered for this. You got the two tier 10s, the Gearing and a Shimakaze, and then we have a Fletcher and a Kagero. So I am going to go sneaky through these ice flows over here and hope that I can get myself into a position where I can do some damage without being damaged. The sounds have been improved. The game loads a ton faster in general. There are many changes. And so of course I've mentioned the weather. There's some defensive fire given to aircraft carriers. They've reduced the incapacitation time for the engines, so it won't be 120 seconds any longer. The longest you'll get is 60 seconds. And it does make a difference, because who wants to sit there for 2 minutes? Oh, I'm being detected by radar. Awesome sauce. I'm not a fan of radar. For that very reason. They were supposed to fix the sound. It doesn't feel like they did, because that keening, abusive on the ear noise is extremely painful. Thank you. Hopefully my torpedoes will do something. They do more damage, they have a shorter range, they go much faster. And this may allow us to highlight another new feature. In fact, it certainly will. And here we go. New sinking animations. What fun. And there she goes, a very sad Kabuki actress. On the downside, there may not be very many videos these next week and a half or so. We've got a bunch of family and work-related issues coming up that need to be dealt with. But I will do my best. If I do any recordings, they're going to have to be kind of one shots like this, and so they may not end well. Fortunately, this one is less than 5 minutes, it looks like. Maybe this will give me a moment to run through as you watch this ship slowly plunge into the icy depths here, to kind of go over it. Of course, there's two new maps, the Mountain Range and Trident. You can select crosshairs. There are a bunch of new crosshairs that are inspired by the mod community. I don't use them because they're not dynamic. The dynamic zoom is the way to go, I feel. There are sound improvements. Of course, they still need to get rid of that horrible noise that hurts your ears. When you're on fire, there's a screen effect for it. Look at that. She's going to go bow up, huh? They've included the rendering of shell models. Some ships when interchanges. The Hermelin, which is a German cruiser, her firing range was extended. The Izumo. Let's see if we can find somebody who's got it under control here and can help the team maybe. But I would prefer, since we are on destroyers, and it won't let me switch. Used to be able to hold control and then click on maybe it's on the name. Nope. And select who you're gonna go to, but that's fine. The Ishizuchi went under some upgrades. Her steering gear and the magazine modules are now more protected from HE. The rate of fire of her main guns was improved from 30 to 25 seconds, which is kind of fun. The chances of setting a fire with the Soviet destroyers Tier 5 and above has been increased from 7 to 8%. They changed the parameters of the Type 93 Model 1 and Model 3 torpedoes on the destroyers Kagero and Shimakaze. It's to kind of reduce the long-range torpedo launches. So they've reduced they increased their visibility. So you see them at 2.5 kilometers and 1.9 kilometers. The range of the Type 93 Mod 3 has been reduced from 15 to 12 kilometers, and the speed of the Mod 1 torpedoes was reduced from 67 to 62. I'm not a big fan of all these changes. They're absolutely nerfing the hell out of destroyers. They've added an option to the torpedo, to the Fubuki's torpedoes, as well as the Kagero and Shimakaze's, where you can have a shorter range, faster torpedo. It's the Type 93 Mod 2 on the Fubuki and the Kagero, and the Type F3 on the Kagero and the Shimakaze torpedoes. They've increased the hit points of the turrets. They've increased the range of Soviet model torpedoes up to 4 kilometers. That'll affect one of my favorites, the Dursky, or Hell's Drummer. She'll actually have a slightly better range on her torpedoes. They reduced the detectability range resulting from gunfire by a kilometer for the Starajovoy, the Dursky, and the Isyaslav. I already told you about the engine reduction. And also the steering gears will also go from, if you get incapacitated, they'll go from 120 seconds down to 40 seconds. Then there are some other minor changes. There's changes to the defensive AA fire, which is added to the aircraft carriers, which will prevent aircraft carriers, or should help prevent aircraft carriers from getting nailed in the first couple minutes, particularly in high-tiered encounters where, losing your carrier at the very beginning is going to be just hell on you. They've increased the armor of the Pensacola. The Svetlana had its engine compartments buffed. There's tons of changes. There's some that are cosmetic, for the port views, and they added onshore objects to the Solomon Islands, the Two Brothers, the Atlantic, and Shatter maps. They made some changes to the trap map. They've changed the spawn position on large islands. So there's a bunch of big changes and then a bunch of little tiny changes. And so I'd say overall that this is a vast improvement. It is I hope at some point that they will really take a good solid look at the torpedoes, at the destroyers, and rethink what they've done. I think that they're really pushing hard against the destroyers and taking a lot of the fun out of playing one. The increased visibility due to sonar, or the radar, which you can't even hide in. You can't even hide in your smoke, and you can't hide in the leeway of islands, which I think is utter crap. I mean, it should work like a spotting mechanic. If you're behind an island, they shouldn't be able to spot you. And that covers most of them that are really important to me. And so, again, I hope you'll forgive me if there aren't very many videos produced by me over the next week and a half or 2 weeks or so. But tell me what you think of 5.5. Tell me what you think of the dynamic zoom. Tell me what you think of the game. Love to hear your comments, and I'll be reading them. I'd like to thank you for joining me here on the world of Sunken Captain Yamo, and I hope to see you on the digital high seas.